So over the past week, a lot has happened with Fallout 76. We got a pretty good look at the future of this game, what some of the new and upcoming updates will entail and contain, but also we get the end of some of the previous updates, the final iteration of the Vault Raids, the third of which is actually not super bad. I'll go pretty in depth on that one in this video, but of course also some less than positive aspects of the game, such as a new bug that seems to be deleting characters. I talked about this in the past, it's popped up again, and it seems like it is a genuine issue that is pretty concerning, as again, it does wipe out your entire character and all of the items you do have. In this video, I'm going to talk about all of that and a little bit more. If you guys enjoy the content or just want to see more, you can leave a like or subscribe. But with that being said, let's first take a look at this new game-breaking bug that we're seeing in Fallout 76. So I talked about this not too long ago, where basically around Vault 94 and the new Vault Raids added to the game, there seems to be some kind of issue where players were crashing or just glitching out in game and getting an entire character deletion. For some of these, they tried to disconnect manually from the Vault Raid, got to the main menu, but when they logged back in, all of their items were gone. Some of the other instances did experience a crash, and then when they logged back in, all of their items were gone. So initially when I talked about this, we only had 3 reports of this, and as always with Fallout 76 issues, you have to take them with a grain of salt. A lot of people in the community are very toxic and will create made up issues like this just to create a stir or to get attention. It's actually happened several times in the past with this game. So as I talked about this, I made sure everyone was wary. But now we've actually gotten additional instances of this occurring and almost a little bit of a theme around it overall. The latest report of this character deleting bug comes from a fairly well-known member of the community. And as such, I actually have a bit more faith in this 4th report compared to the previous 3. And basically what they describe in this post is how, after going into Vault 94 to complete the Vault Raid, there were some issues, some things not spawning, terminals not working, so the one user on their account actually disconnected just in an attempt to restart the game. But as they logged back in, they found that their inventory was completely wiped outside of certain quest items. Although fortunately, all of the things in her stash are still there and unaffected, all the things on her character though are gone. With this report, we also got a video of the missing items. It doesn't actually show the process happening, but just the aftermath of it, but a little bit of extra proof compared to what we've seen in the past with these issues. We saw a response from one of the community managers on this, just asking for additional information. The user himself describes trying all of the various bug fixes or quick fixes that were commented or suggested by other players with nothing actually working, but then he also did reach out to Bethesda support. He explained the situation. They requested a certain diagnostic file. Support reported that nothing in the file looked abnormal. They then requested some video evidence, of which he showed the video that I was just showing you before. They said there's no real proof in that, which there isn't, and as a result closed the ticket. One interesting observation is it seems like every time one of these wipes or crashes has occurred, it's actually been on the day that the vaults switch. So on Tuesday, the vault mission will switch from one mission to the next. Every bug report has been on a Tuesday. But either way, that's really all there is right now. Obviously, this is a fairly massive issue. It is basically game breaking because it destroys everything in your character's inventory outside of quest items, which has been a commonality. There definitely still is potential that this is fake or a farce by just the community trying to stir up drama, but at the same time, with 4 separate reports of this issue now, with varying degrees of evidence but similar characteristics among all of them, it does make me believe it a little bit more. If you do believe these reports or you think these are accurate, I don't really have any major recommendations as to what not to do or how to avoid this. Seems like it is Vault Raid focused and disconnecting or crashing in the Vault Raid, so maybe don't do that, but sometimes you have to. But of course, all of them do seem to focus around that transition day, so maybe just avoiding them on that day in particular could be a safe bet. One other kind of less than positive thing I wanted to mention around Fallout 76 is in regards to its Battle Royale mode. As many of you that watch my videos do see, I typically fill in some of the background footage just with some Battle Royale footage. It's pretty easy to just bang through a couple of matches and use that for the background as it's something interesting, a little bit higher paced, and not just me randomly farming areas in adventure mode. So today, with the preparation of this video in mind, I went to find a match, except I couldn't. I spent 20 minutes waiting earlier today, and then now again, this time actually recording the wait process, waiting for, as I'm recording this, 25 minutes, and I'm just gonna leave the recording on to see how long it actually takes. You have to imagine the start of school for most people on the East Coast did play a fairly large role in this, but at least as of right now, during weekdays for Fallout 76, I literally can't find a match for this mode. mode. Like, it's not like, oh, it's a 5 to 10 minute, it's just not happening. In the past, you could find a match. It seems like you need at least 20 people to actually create a lobby. Those matches would always be fairly small, just 20 to 30 people. One potential workaround is apparently if you just exit and restart the search really often, you'll have a higher likelihood, as you'll be constantly checking for new lobbies, and if you just sit there, sometimes it's leaving you in one lobby trying to fill it up. But either way, this is a problem. It's obviously reflective of a fairly low player count, and quite a difference compared to release, where you'd find things almost immediately, and even the few months following release. Earlier this week, Fallout 76 was taken down for maintenance. One thing you may have noticed if you follow the game or just follow some of the major accounts that do post about it, this maintenance was reportedly or originally for two different things: improving server stability, an ongoing problem and kind of battle between Bethesda and the Fallout 76 servers, but also apparently they were going to fix the long-standing power armor glitch. This basically making it so when you exit power armor, all of your controls would lock up and you would have to restart the game. Exiting power armor naturally happens pretty often, so it had a high likelihood, definitely a tier 1 bug in Fallout 76 right now, which unfortunately, despite that maintenance going through, that secondary fix to the power armor bug got pushed back. They mentioned how they found and noticed a secondary bug or issue around the potential fix, so they need more time to get it sorted. That was just over the past 2 days, and nothing has been posted yet about a new fix, but it looks like it's soon. Hopefully we're right around the corner from when this will be fixed, and hopefully even it'll be before this weekend. Although one thing I do want to praise Bethesda around is actually the communication in these update threads. They're pretty much always maintained and updated by the same community manager, and he gives just periodic, like every 30-minute updates like, hey, maintenance is still going on, but we're almost done, or hey, we're doing this tomorrow. Although that is his job, I do appreciate the extra effort, especially as the servers are down, providing periodic updates as to how long the downtime will continue. One final thing that has gotten a little bit of backlash or controversy is some of the new additions to the Atomic Shop. We get a new batch of releases as we do almost every week, several of which actually look pretty cool, but one of which is actually 3 power armor reskins. The reskin just being a new color. This bundle will be 800 points, including an aqua, blue, and red paint that you can apply to every power armor in the game except Ultrasight power armor, but that does include Excavator, the other new power armor from Fallout 76. So naturally users see this and get kind of mad, saying, hey, $8 for just some colors? That's one of those things that should be free, and actually in past Fallouts, mods did that really quickly. And even for Fallout 76, you could actually pretty easily download a texture mod that will change your power armor to one of these colors, although in fairness, this is pretty well done. These are custom made paint jobs for each of the power armors. It's not just applying a flat color like some mods do, and you could always tell when that's done. It's typically not as high quality. You could always tell when they go through and make it fit the power armor because there's some of the other details on specific pieces, like some of the weathering on certain pieces that is in a slightly different location per piece. But at the same time, it's $8 for 3 colors. That is kind of crazy, a little bit ridiculous. Obviously somebody worked hard on this, but this is without a doubt one of those things that feels like it shouldn't be on the microtransaction shop and just offered for free in game. I don't really have much else to say on this. A lot of the stuff on this shop is pretty expensive, and I think $8 for these 3 is in that category. It's definitely not the worst or most egregious thing on it, but a lot of you guys have been asking me about this or wanting to hear my response, and those are more or less my thoughts. But then looking over at the Inside the Vault article, they actually share something that's kind of exciting, or at least kind of exciting to me. They confirm again that patch 13 is coming this Tuesday, so just a few days away now. Really what they describe here is a pretty comprehensive overhaul to the event system in the game, now what they're dubbing public events, or at least some will be public events. So this is actually a pretty cool move from Bethesda. If you guys do recall, earlier this year there was a big post and a big push from Bethesda to give them feedback on events. In fact, what we're seeing with this new public event system is the culmination of a lot of that feedback, and it's actually really good. Reading some of these changes, you'll notice they definitely listen to some of the big things people are asking for. So one of the first big changes from this is not all events will be affected, but rather a new category of public events. These are the ones they list on it, Campfire Tales, Encrypted, and Free Range being some of the notable ones, but also now when you actually go onto your map and find that a public event is active, there's quite a bit of a difference in the UI. Hovering over a public event will give you this kind of larger printout of all the information, and a lot of it actually being really relevant. The difficulty not super useful, but how long ago it started and how many participants are there will be really handy to know. If there's a lot of participants and it's been going on for a while, you might not even bother because it might just finish before you actually end up fast traveling there. Also, fast traveling to these new events will now be totally free, so now no caps required to actually get to some of these locations. Even further, the actual map icon is going to be larger, and you can tell it has that exclamation point in the middle, differentiating this event from some of the regular events that aren't as notable. And although they don't show an example of this, the loading screen you see while fast traveling to one of these public events will actually be related to the event itself, giving you a description of it and tips on how to successfully complete it. Depending on how in-depth they get, this could be super handy. With a lot of the newer events in particular, people just don't know what to do. Sometimes half the battle was communicating to others, hey, do this because that's how we succeed, don't just shoot everything as it spawns. And also, when a public event does go active, all players will receive this notification, this obviously being pretty familiar, but now it'll apply to all of the events in this list. So I would say all of that will do a pretty good job at getting more people to be aware of these events. A lot of the stuff, although super popular following release, is now dead. Like free range, oftentimes you could find just sitting there with 1 to 2 people doing it or just nobody at all. But I think with these changes, more people will be aware of when these go active and just hop over there, especially considering no cost will be involved, at least in getting there. You'll still have to pay to get back to wherever you were though. But outside of that, they're actually changing some more of the core mechanics of events, what's actually happening as you're at a public event. If you die at this event, you'll no longer drop your junk, but each time you die, the respawn timer will actually increase until a max of 20 seconds. Once one of these events actually spawns on a map, a countdown will start. At the end of that, the event will start automatically, although if nobody actually fast travels to it, the event will just shut down. But alternatively, if you just fast travel to one of these events, you can manually start it a bit earlier. But also, they're designing it so there's not going to be overlap in between these public events. If one's active, another one probably won't be, but after one ends, only shortly thereafter, a new one will pop up. They also mention how this same functionality is applied to those seasonal events, so Fastnacht and Meat Week. So the next seasonal event we do get, whenever that is, will actually have these same things. One final note, one of the most interesting parts of this entire post, they describe a second wave of event updates that will, 1, reward you based on your performance. So if you're just sitting at the back of the event and just tap each enemy once to get the experience and the rewards, you won't get any rewards, or you'll get less rewards to people who are really going ham. But also a system where even if you never get a hit on a legendary enemy, you'll still be able to loot it if you're participating in the event. Both of which sound really cool, but again, those are coming down the line and not currently. So overall, I would say this actually sounds like a really good addition. Events in this game sounded good, sounded promising, but in execution didn't really do all that much. They would have a burst of activity right after release and then kind of dwindle out. These changes all sound really good. It's the type of stuff I'm happy to see in updates outside of just the typical and needed bug fixes. It's one of those things that I think will really bring a larger community aspect in this game. People playing the events together and in the process meeting other people. So if taking a look at this vault raid, now that we have a fairly comprehensive idea of what it's all about, there's actually a couple of things. Just to kind of give you a frame of reference, on the first vault raid, I thought the mission itself was actually pretty fun. They had that reactor segment that was a bit tedious and frustrating, but otherwise, speaking broadly, I thought it was a good addition to the game. Unfortunately, server instability and other crashing issues really brought the quality down overall. But as I said in my original video, the vault raid itself was fun, it was the servers causing those issues. In an isolated environment, I probably would enjoy that one. Conversely, the second vault raid mission was pretty tedious and annoying. It really showcased how big of a role server instability was playing here, and even without server instability, I just didn't find that one enjoyable at all. But now finally, working our way to this third vault raid mission, I would actually say this is without a doubt the best of the three. The most achievable, even with server instability, and also just the most enjoyable overall. This is a win for Bethesda. I definitely think this is a genuinely fun piece of new content, and in this video I'll talk about why. So looking at what you actually do during this vault raid, it's actually kind of cool. So during the very first vault raid, it really involved repairing a vault. You had to go through several different wings and get the systems back up and online. Along the way, you were fighting a bunch of sea creatures like Mirelurk queens, kings, and just regular Mirelurks in general, but also there were a ton of ghouls all throughout the vault. So with the way these missions cycle, next week we're going to go back to the very first one, the one where the vault is entirely broken and flooded. Well, what the washout mission, the new one added today, is going to do is actually involve you breaking the vault. In effect, what's going on here is there's a bad bug infestation in the vault right now. So you're going to flood the vault in order to get rid of all of those bugs. While in the first and second missions, you were repairing pipes, in this one, you're actually breaking all of the pipes to let water leak out. You're going to be turning off the reactor that later on you actually turned on, on. Rather than taking canisters out of seed banks, you're going to be putting them in. I actually would say this is really cool, just thematically. I think it's a cool way to actually progress through these 3 missions, actually making them all interconnected. And even though in a way you're kind of doing a similar thing or almost doing the opposite of what you do in some of the other missions, it doesn't feel that way while you're playing. Although some of the steps involved are similar, overall it's actually pretty distinctive and it feels quite a bit different from the other 2 missions. Also being, again, the easiest and one of the most fun. And just in general, I would say this mission is way easier than some of the previous ones. Although it took roughly 40 minutes on Novice, I only got downed once, and that was mostly due to my own carelessness, and I only used 1 stim pack and 1 Radaway. Certainly not as costly as some of the previous ones, although some of these cave crickets you encounter are ridiculously tanky. Fortunately, they don't do a ton of damage. It's not like there's a ton of radiation throughout this one compared to some of the previous, so all around, if there was one mission I would grind out for parts, it would be this one. And you have to do that this week again because it's going away in 1 week and won't be back for 3 weeks. I think this is actually a really good example of how cool these vault raids can be. Playing through this with several other people required teamwork. It led to us expending resources, which will definitely make the in-game economy a little bit stronger, and it gives you guaranteed legendaries, which of course a lot of people want. And also I would say this one in particular was just fun. There were still certain segments where the server lag or instability could cause hiccups and a bit of frustration, but not nearly on the level of the previous 2. This is something you could pretty easily just clear through with a couple of friends without even all that much preparation in mind. You still want to prep somewhat, but it's not nearly on the level of the previous 2, which actually makes me wonder if Bethesda dumbed this one down or made it a bit easier based off the backlash from the previous vault raids. So all in all, as far as the vault raids go, I think they're a good addition to the game conceptually, but in practice, it's just Fallout 76 has too much lag and server instability for them to be a successful DLC. The first 2 were met with massive backlash and a lot of problems. Obviously, the third one is still relatively new, so we'll see how it pans out over the next week or so. I think it'll without a doubt be the most well received, as it is in my eyes the most fun and the easiest, but at the same time, I really hope the vault raids see tweaks or changes in the future. The first and third missions I think are pretty solid. The second mission is ridiculously frustrating and I don't even want to play it on great servers, so hopefully that one gets some edits, but I really think this is a concept with promise. I hope they keep adding stuff like this to the game for the future, but maybe implementing some player feedback into future iterations. Maybe have more of a focus on a horde-esque mode, just fending off waves of enemies rather than the puzzle focus we see currently. But no, I would say this actually enters us into a pretty interesting stage for Fallout 76 and its content. With the release of this final vault mission, it's in a way the end of the known DLC PvE content releases. Vault 96 is reportedly coming at some point. We don't really know when though. They just said it would happen based off feedback from Vault 94. That's something to be excited for, but without concrete details, you have to imagine it's still a couple weeks or even months away. And otherwise, looking at the roadmap, although there's a few other minor releases, the only other big release is for the Battle Royale mode coming next week. So otherwise, as far as known content, this is really all we have before Wastelanders. But hopefully this means we'll see several bug fixing updates in that time. Either way, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this one. Definitely an interesting day for Fallout 76. A lot of stuff happening, some of it good, some of it bad. But with all that being said, I thank you again for watching, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.